Hey, what's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for Rocket League. My voice is pretty much back to normal now. I'm able to talk again. I casted the grid today, so voice is doing all right. Still a little bit sore. We're getting there, but so far, so good. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down two things. First thing, if you guys don't know, Rocket Labs, the one feature that I think could save Rocket League and help it be the biggest game in the world. Rocket Labs is officially back. We'll be taking a deep dive and looking at that, the trailer, the fact they collabed with Lethamyr, and some other fun, exciting things. So talks about that in a bit, as well as the fact that Fadeaway has officially disbanded. But before we get into that, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. And if you'd like to know any other questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. I'll get to them in the best of my capabilities. Also, if you'd like to support me further, easiest way to do so is all the social medias you find showing in the bottom left of your screen. You can also find in the description down below. Make sure you guys go give those a like and follow as well. But with that said, let's get straight into the video. First things first, because it's quick and easy, we're going to get it out of the way. FreaKii ended up tweeting today, not going to team with Yukeo for this last split of RLCS, so I'm officially free to try out with anyone. So basically, looking for team. For those that haven't been able to follow along or haven't seen the last couple of videos, basically they ended up dropping on Fadeaway Tigreee and said, hey, me and Yukeo are going to go our own ways, but we may try out a new third. And then they ended up tweeting out a teaser in the last video that I brought up that there was a picture of a Batmobile, and maybe there was chances of it being FreaKii, Yukeo, and Cookser. But that did not end up happening. So officially today, in the final saga or whatever of this chapter coming to a close, it looks like that it is officially everybody LFT on their own. Whether that means that a couple different factors, possibly Yukeo has already found a new home, or tryouts and stuff have happened otherwise, we don't really know. But this is going to be something that we'll have to keep tabs on as it develops throughout the season, probably in the spring split when that comes up, based upon where Cookser has ended up and where Yukeo has ended up, and FreaKii as well if they do end up finding a team. So right now, the biggest names that I know of are Rizex and Flakes. Don't have a third yet, whether they're going to stick together or not. So maybe somebody goes there and tries to make a run, but it is unfortunate to see because, I mean, even though I didn't necessarily enjoy the play style all that much, Fadeaway was a dang good team. Like, they were super competitive and were a team that I considered basically the gatekeepers of top 10 in Europe. So they've had good results. Most recently they haven't, but they're still a solid team. So to see them kind of disband just due to, you know, lackluster results is kind of unfortunate, and the fact that everybody is kind of split up. So unfortunate for Fadeaway that everybody's LFT, and hopefully they all find new rosters to go and compete with, because they're all still pretty dang good players. Next up, we're going to be talking about Rocket Labs. For those who do not know, I'm going to provide a little bit of history, and I'll show you guys the trailer as well in full, just so it provides a little bit of context. But for those that don't know, Rocket Labs was a playlist that used to be in Rocket League where they tested out new and unique creative game modes. If you guys don't remember me talking about things that in Rocket League kind of part 2, and link to that probably in the description or somewhere over here, but in my How to Fix Rocket League part 2 video, I talk about how Rocket Labs is the one thing that could really help Rocket League get to that next level. I talk about a lot of games and stuff in regards to like Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne. I talk about creative mode in Fortnite. I talk about Halo Forge and the capability to enable your community to make and build maps. And even though this isn't that, the custom game modes and the custom maps are what I think are going to make the casual level go to the next step. Kind of like what it has done with Lethamyr and his YouTube channel. The guy plays only custom maps that he makes, and it explodes in popularity. And there's so many people that want to do that as well. And Rocket Labs is doing it, but in a little bit different spin. In the past, it used to be where you would queue a playlist, and it gave you the opportunity to play one of select maps. There was Double Goal. There was the one that Utopia Retro, or Retro Utopia, or whatever the heck it was called, which was like a circle. It was like a donut map. There was Pillars. There was the old iBuyPower Cosmic one. Cosmic, I think is what it was called. But there was a bunch of different maps that very minimal on the sense of like the visual of it. It was a very blank template, but it was meant to test out different game modes, different types of varieties. And the issue was two things, which you'll see in the trailer here, which we'll show in a sec. Is the first thing is the player base was too bad. Like people just weren't that good at the time, so it didn't really work. And then the second issue was that they try to implement it into ranked. And the issue with implementing it into ranked is when you played ranked, you would get that map once out of every like 10 or 11 matches. So if you're a pro, you spend 9 out of 10 times playing standard maps, and then 1 out of those 10 times you play non-standard. So why would I put emphasis on a map that I'm only going to see once every 10 times? And it created this issue in the separation of standard and non-standard when they needed to be a perfect blend of the same thing. They needed to be treated as both standard maps, even if there was some unique ones. So now that people have gotten better at reading bounces and redirects and all that kind of stuff and actually hitting the ball in the air, you're seeing the reintroduction of Rocket Labs. And there's a couple things that I'm really hopeful for this. Right now, Psyonix is going to be introducing them as a limited time game mode, which means that they're going to put in a unique map and then rotate different maps every few weeks. What that is specifically and what that is exactly, I can't really tell you. But they're starting out with an old favorite. This is actually from the predecessor, SARP-BC, or Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars in Galleon. If you guys have ever checked out Aquadome when it was released, there's a pirate ship in the back right of the map. That is Galleon. It is a template of the actual map. I have in numerous times, if you are seeing footage, hopefully again from Wojtek doing what Wojtek does best, is us actually playing on a modded version of the map from years ago when it got imported in from a couple map makers. So this was way before the days of Lethamyr, but we have played it with Lethamyr and John Sandman and many others. But Galleon's a really fun map, and it looks like they have officially made that in Rocket League, which is super cool. You'll see some gameplay of that later on in the video, so make sure you keep tabs on that as we check it out. But yeah, it's cool to see that Galleon is going to be introduced first, and I'll try to break it down as I take a look at the trailer. So before I get into anything additional or break down the post, let's actually watch the trailer.
Rocket League has really come a long way over the past 5 years. And if you're a veteran player, you might remember a time when Rocket League first introduced all of us to the world of Rocket Labs, a place of endless possibilities and creative freedom, where we had the chance to try out brand new arena concepts and game modes in Rocket League. The only problem was, we were all kind of bad at the game. But whether you're an experienced player or a brand new Rocketeer, now is a better time than ever to push the limits of what's possible in Rocket League. Rocket Labs will be added periodically as a limited time mode. It will make its return with an arena some of you may recognize, the pirate ship-inspired map, Galleon. You can use the upper deck to get unique passes off the teammates, defend from above, or collect boosts for your next move. And Galleon's just the beginning. In this limited time mode, you'll be able to experience more unique game modes, mutators, and non-standard arenas as Rocket Labs evolves, each one bringing something new to the Rocket League we all know and love. If you're a big fan of unique Rocket League content like I am, now is your time to be heard. Take part in the Rocket Labs experience today, share your feedback, and help shape the future of the game.
So a couple things to take away from the trailer. Number one, they collaborate with Lethamyr. Really smart idea. This is the guy that's known for making custom apps, so why not collaborate and trust him and outsource him to make this video? Does a fantastic job. The video turns out great. Shoutouts to both him and Danny Lotus. If you don't know him, his editor, do a phenomenal job. Second thing with this as well, he kind of covers the topics of what it used to be and what it is and why it's a good implementation, which I think we all agree upon. And then they actually showcase a couple different maps in here. The first one being Galleon, and coming off the ceiling, the back walls and stuff, and talking about how it's a limited game mode and bringing this back in. They also talk about in the blog post about how Galleon is kind of like a shout out to the veterans, because the veterans from SARP-BC do remember this map, as they should. But then they showcase some other ones. This one's roughly about like 45 seconds or so into the trailer. They show one that is a perfect square, but all the backboards are angled no matter what. In Galleon, there's a little bit of like a ramp on the back that you can settle on, and then there's a back wall. But in this other one that they show that's like a square, it actually just has a straight curvature down, and the guy has a crazy redirect. I'm sure it's Lethamyr that they're showing doing it. They also have one that's like super long and super skinny. This is one we talked about for a really long time, where I want to see diversity between like map height and map width rather than crazy different angles and all this kind of stuff. Like, as long as they approach Rocket Labs in a very simplistic sense, it doesn't have to be the implementation into Rocket League. It doesn't have to be the implementation into the competitive scene and the pro scene for RLCS. But if you start on a minimalistic sense and say, okay, we're going to make the map wider, skinnier, taller, shorter, and take different iterations and different updates of that, that is where I think you're going to see Rocket Labs really be successful. And then every once in a while, for like special game modes or for special events, like if it's winter, you throw in a holiday map or you throw in something different, and it enables this creativity to where Psyonix doesn't have to worry about like people hating their map, because if they do hate the map, then they just come out with a different iteration of it and update it so people start to enjoy it. They take the feedback from the community, and it goes both ways. Not only are people really happy about Psyonix is listening to us, Psyonix is hearing us, but then we get better maps out of it and more creativity. I do hope, though, that after these maps air in the limited time mode, that they do put them in private matches and private lobby options. Like, the files are in the game, so please allow us to actually play those in privates or tournaments or otherwise. Like, I would love to host tournament. I'll be honest, I hate hosting tournaments on stream. I think it's very boring. It gets very stale. But if you're telling me I can host a tournament with all these new limited time modes, Heat Seeker, this really skinny long map, you're talking about, Galleon and all these other ones, I'm going to be more incentivized to do fun stuff rather than just the same old 3v3 typical Rocket League. I want diversity. I want something different. So I think there's a really cool way for them to approach this, and I hope they do it correctly. I talked about this in a tweet of mine where this could be the thing that propels Rocket League to the next level as long as it is handled correctly. And that's a big if. If it is handled correctly, this could really blow up Rocket League, and I'm hoping they're doing it. The fact that they're showcasing maps with the right ideology that we've talked about for a very long time is a good sign. So I'm going to take a look at the blog post and see if there's anything that I'm missing. But for the most part, they just talk about that it's limited time modes that are going to be rotating through. The first one up is going to be Soccer on Galleon, which I don't know if this is me looking too much into it, that the fact that it is Soccer and they have to emphasize that it is Soccer on Galleon rather than like Snow Day or something, maybe means that in the future they may mix that up and may change that. They talk about how it's a throwback arena to the SART PC. Original Galleon, which resembled a pirate ship, has been reimagined for Rocket League. They got rid of the posts in the middle. They also got rid of the mast that people would always bang into. So a couple things, but they also have the decks behind the goal, which creates some really cool pass plays. You talk about people jumping off the backboard and redirecting. You can do some really crazy stuff off that back like deck, if you want to call it that, or the poop deck as they call it. It'll be interesting to see on how that one plays out. They talk about how the limited time play mode will be available until January 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific. So you only have about 4 or 5 days to actually play this, so keep that in mind. They then say in the last line that you can expect Rocket Labs to return as a limited time mode in the future with new twists on arenas, even throwing mutators into the mix. So it does look like it's not going to be just Soccer. So it looks like they are starting to get a little bit more experimental. Hopefully it's not just Spike Rush and other stupid stuff like that, but actually new and exciting different mutators. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some creativity out of the team, because I know there's a lot of developers over there that have been itching to do stuff like this. Now all the boring informational stuff is out of the way, let's actually jump in game and take a look. So right now, if you go into the game, you can go into casual, and it shows it on the top left here where it says limited time modes, Rocket Labs. If you go into the top left, you can select that, and then you can go and find a match. So as we get into the map, it's actually going to be treated as casual, and it does look like there is some differences based upon what I saw last time. And it might just be a visual thing, but the map itself does feel a little bit smaller than the ones that I've played before and modded, where the map is a little bit closer together. There's a little bit more when it comes to the actual like height and like the backside. Like the poop deck is what I'm calling it up top is a lot smaller than what I originally thought it was. Like if you go up top here, this is a lot smaller and a little bit more intimate from the modded map that I played in the past. So there's definitely some difference. All right, sick. Nice job, Spearmint. The biggest thing that they have to adjust with these, in my opinion, is going to be the boost layout. It's something that we don't really talk about, and something that a lot of people are like, well, I want to see a bigger map and 5v5 and 6v6 and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things that you have to do when it comes to adjustment, in the sense of like, where's the boost location? How many boost pads are there? Is it balanced enough? Is there enough? And this is something that you actually see out of a lot of map creators in the Steam workshop, where there's a lot of times where those people that make those maps have to do multiple iterations of the map to make sure that it feels and plays smooth. So hopefully that's what Psyonix is paying attention to, is the different iterations that they may have to make about, trying to make sure the map plays as smooth as possible. I also hope that in the future they don't always do 3v3. I hope at some point they also will implement like limited time modes that are 2v2 and 1v1 that aren't just always the norm of 3v3. So I think maps like this are way better in the 2v2 sense. I think 2v2 maps size-wise are significantly better for what the standard size is of the map right now, personally. I do think the map is a little bit too small, just because people have gotten so good to the point where they can clear the ball to full field. So I am excited to see how this all plays out, but enough of me getting smacked by randos as I talk. Turns out standing while playing is a lot harder than John Sandman makes it. Enough of my terrible gameplay. That is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, as always, drop those down below. And to make sure you don't miss out on any of the latest news, make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. But that is going to wrap it up for me today. More version 1 broadcast later today. I'll be on my stream probably around like noon central today, playing Among Us with some friends, doing some proximity chat stuff. But later on tonight, version 1 GG on Twitch to watch day 2 of grid week number 3. That is it for me. I'm going to finally go get dinner, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.